Yeah, but you broke it. You broke it. Keep that now. Fix just
Slowly went from, so then, when you're in the energy of the song, it's usually like, and then and stuff too. It's, it works out. Just slowly works out. Yeah.
You did finish on
Maybe. We were trying not to repeat any song.
no, those people that one, here you go. See? But I won't be.
yesterday.
Yeah, it's been real.
There's too many people to see. I can't see everybody.
You don't play?
I have to do mine.
Huh?
We'll be at the 4 o'clock.
Oh, cool. So it's pretty much time. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 1 minute till. So, a lot of that is writing technique, which I guess is probably the most important thing to start on. You know a lot of this already. This is going to be the basic stuff. The reason I'm getting such a loud sound, such a full sound out of each string, is because I'm pushing the pick all the way through both strings and resting it on the next one, or rest stroke. And it's just so you can avoid hitting one string, and it avoids this kind of play where the pick is kind of going ding 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 ding, and the direction is like a ski jump. You want it to be more of a like downward attack where it lands on that. So I think the most important thing would be to get all your hands together and work on that rest stroke. We can do 8. So do 8 on each string. So 1, 2, 3 on the G string. 4, 5, 6, 7. Really push through. Really go ahead and attack it. Next one. my middle finger up and out of the way. So if there's anybody in the audience, I don't okay. No, I use these last two fingers to kind of stabilize and help control what my extend on my shoulder.
Grip pressure.
Grip pressure. Well, not so much that it's hurting you. You know, you don't want to like hurt. Nothing should be that tense. Just hard enough to be able to push through the strings, and just loose enough that it's not hurting me, not straining me. Everybody's got to find their own little happy middle ground.
You use a pretty stiff pick, don't you?
Yeah, this is a little worn down. It's usually a lot more triangular.
Right, that's
It's 1.9. Yeah, and this is a lot more tone that comes out of it. And it's harder to play with, but it definitely is. It's one of those things that you get used to. You know, that's.
I think I'll play with them once while it's so heavy.
I started on extra light strings as a kid. Extra light strings, a little tiny teardrop, 0.5 pick, and moved up to 1.0 or 0.8 to 1.0 to 1.5, and now I'm at 1.9. So it's a progression, you know. Everybody can get there. It's just you have to slowly move it up. You can't just like jump to a super big account. Same with strings. The gauge went from extra light to medium, now they're medium heavy. It's the heaviest guitar makes. And for me, it's just, the tone is just awesome. They reverberate. They don't last super long like elixir. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a little expensive. It's worth putting on radio string. There's nothing like putting on radio string. These are brand new. It's like at the top. It's, you know, potential. It's nice. Left hand technique. You want to make sure that when you fret, you want to make sure that your finger is not on top of the fret, smother it, and not too far behind where it buzzes. Leaves too much room between the string and the fret. You want it to be directly behind. A lot of this is going to be about the sweet spot, you know, and you have to find it yourself. But like the intensity with which that you want to attack the strings, there's a sweet spot there. There's a sweet spot where on the mandolin you want to attack with your bass. To me, it's right so I noticed that you were kind of strumming. Do you play much bluegrass, or what is it that you're
Yeah, I
trying to do?
play a little bit of, I like bluegrass. I play bluegrass as much as I can.
What do you play when you play mandolin? What do you play when you play mandolin?
Just, you mean songs? Oh,
Folk tunes or?
bluegrass, gospel, truck driving man, like,
Yeah.
kind of things.
Okay. And what about you?
I play everything and anything I can come up with, but I like bluegrass tunes. I like kind of the ballady stuff, the waltzes. But I like rock. I like Elton. I like whatever.
Cool. Bluegrass. Okay, so I think an important thing, like an important distinction to make, I know people. An important distinction to make would be Right. Now, something I can tell you is that, like, especially with Bill Monroe and those guys, is that the chop, the most important thing is the top 2 strings. So I'm using this whole form, but I'm really only chopping the top 2 strings. Every once in a while you get a little bit of that. I'm not sitting there. I'm going. It's all about the top. As soon as you attack, you let go.
I'm gonna try to get all 4 of those.
Right, yeah. See, that sounds great. That's perfect. It's just kind of a percussive, not necessarily about the notes. That's like a byproduct. Little things like that. It's so funny how similar it is. You know,
I've been trying to hit all 4 notes when I do the chop, and it keeps ringing more than I want it to.
Right.
Sound to it.
right.
So it's just first 2 strings of those.
There's moments for it. That's the thing, is that if you're in a bluegrass jam with a bluegrass band, the banjo's taking over the wall of sound, and the guitar is kind of just like cymbals or something, it's just kind of like creating a glue. And then the bass has the 1, fiddle's just going when you're not, and you've got to hold down that chop. But when I bust alone, when I play on the street with the case open, I'll strum quite a bit, because there needs to be something to take up all that sound. It just depends on what the sound is that you're dealing with. If there's no guitar in the jam, then I'll and play the bass notes. It's whatever is missing, you got to try to fill. So as far as, it may be fine if you're just picking around, but if you're playing a bluegrass jam, and probably most other jams, anything that would require that chop, make sure that you have just the real poppy sound, it's real important. And then you can get into how fiddles will chop at the same time as you, and you gotta, as soon as they're chopping, then you gotta start, doing the fiddle thing. So it's just, think about the roles in the band and who's filling what role and what needs to happen. As a kid, I remember my buddy John, McNeil, the band player, we were sitting in a grade 48 hotel jam, and I'm a kid, and I was like looking off and not really paying attention, and he's sitting there on a banjo, chopping, and he's looking at me going, I'm doing your job here. I'm like, oh, as soon as I start talking, he goes, and it sounds great, because everybody just has to fill the right role. So, yeah.
Do you use a capo ever?
No.
So a capo is kind of a crutch.
A capo is Latin for cheater. No, but capo is it's a crutch, and it's just not used in bluegrass. I haven't really seen it used on anyone, but people do. There's kind of a reason for it.
Well, I think when I see in a jam, when guys are playing in different keys, and if you're not an accomplished enough player to be able to play in all the different keys up the neck, well then a cheater capo seems to me could be a help.
It could be a help,
You
but
get where
I do, totally. But my worry is that it's like you're using crutches without a broken leg. You know what I mean? Like, it's understandable that like you don't know how to play in E flat. They have to close everything because there's no open notes in E flat. It's just kind of a little awkward. But I can understand that if you're working on the E position and somebody starts playing an E flat, or B flat, say that you're working on the A position and somebody wants to do a song in B flat, then I understand using the capo because you're still working on the A before you get to the B flat. If you have all those open keys already in your repertoire, then jump into the B flat. Just jump into it, you know, what's the worst that can happen?
So you're saying, suck it up and learn to play out all the keys.
Exactly. And the scales is what helps so much with that. So much. It's, I mean, you can find any scale online, tabs, any. And actually a local bookstore or whatever. It's, I mean, very, and B flat scale. And from that I can, that's all like within that scale, you know. So it's, because those are hammered into my head, I can play around on it. You know? So yeah, learn all these things. Learn all the keys in every key. Teresa and I shared a teacher, Evan Marshall, who, this guy had me go through all 12 keys, major and minor, 3 octaves, arpeggios, broken thirds up and down, and 11 different variations on each one of those scales. Major and minor, 3 octaves, octave, 11 different variations. Where you're, you know, the first one is all down strokes. The next one is, I don't know if that's the next one. Or the next one is up and down, right? That's actually an important thing to think about. The upstroke, that's another really, because we're saying that, you know, pay attention to the rest stroke, the down stroke is really important. We want to make sure that you have the full note. And I mean, maybe you play like Golden Room, you don't play any upstrokes. But if you're gonna do any like fiddle tune or anything in any other style, like neither one of those downs or ups sounds any different from each other. As a kid, I would play down and then the up would be a lot lighter. It would sound kind of, I would hit one string coming up, and it would be kind of, you know, it's just not nearly as full. So in the same way that you have to be careful with the rest stroke and hitting both strings, you have to make sure that you hit both strings coming up. But in such a way that you're not bending your hand at all. So you're not going rest down, rest this way, rest down, rest this way. It's kind of a, it's like right back through the strings in the same way, leaving your hand ready to attack back down. So it's, you know, you gotta break it down quite a bit. Scales. Scales in every key. Any questions? It's pretty simple stuff as far as the scales go. And let's see, you said left hand technique. I always said like leave room for a mouse right there. But I also have pretty spidery fingers. So everybody, like I said, everybody's different. Make sure you fret right behind the fret, not on top of it or too far behind. Make sure you rest that pick on the next string. And coming up, make sure that you're actually going through both, and that it's an equal sound, not greater or lesser. I plant. Just a little bit. There's sometimes where my hands are just sitting like, oh my god, sometimes we're going playing. It's nice to have. For do you plant? Do you plant your fingers? You do?
Right, Chris looks like it's always relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of.
Not playing with full form.
No. No, it's I remember watching Sarah Watkins talk about fiddle, and she said that this is a little finger of this is a little finger of this, these are little fingers of this, and these are little fingers of this. Like each little section of movement in your body is its own little moving finger. It all needs to move with each other and not be like, nothing's sturdy like that, you know? Nothing's locked in place. Everything needs to be. It's pretty wiggly.
Do you play the fiddle because of the similarity of the mandolin?
It's pretty, because I have the left hand, yeah.
You can pick it up and you kind of play the fiddle.
Yeah, I took some lessons, and the worst thing about it is the bow.
Yeah.
This thing is so, it's too much.
Like learning a whole other instrument.
It takes so much concentration, and it's kind of like banjo in the way that, like, if you think about the roll, if you think about the bow like too much, it'll all fall apart. But if you don't think about it at all, it will flow after a while, but it starts to fall apart. So you have to have like a sweet spot of concentration and not caring.
And there's no frets.
And there's no frets. Tuning is hell. And then yeah, there are some times where I'm on top of it and I'm able to like jump up to third positions on the fiddle and go snap right to it and play the song the way it needs to be. And sometimes it's just a dying goat orchestra.
When you're improvising over a progression like G, C, D,
Uh-huh.
do you stay with the basic G scale, or do you change to the C scale when it is C, you change to D?
Oh yeah, you
Like
want.
G pentatonic and the whole thing.
No, you go with the. I mean, you can if you want to, but I definitely try to flow with the chords, or at least go like over them or receive them. So like, you know. So if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So like over a G chord, I'm going. So that when it turns to C, it's like rewarding. Yeah, I try to think about that. It's more about just harmony with the notes in the chord than anything.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be like directly within the scale. Just anything with. I like dissonant stuff, weird, stuff that's like in a C chord. Like stuff that makes people go. What's that? Make people think.
Can you show us what cross picking is?
Sure. Yeah. Jesse McReynolds is the style that I know. So it's like down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It has to even out to 8 somehow. So there's some people just do a straight like. And I like this. I just listened to a lot of Jesse and just kind of figured it out. Just slowly listen to him and that was one of the few things that I didn't like actually sit down with like a book or anything and learn it. Like that was straight here. So I can't tell you too much about it. I would say just do the same thing. Just sit down with it and kind of figure it out. Down, up, up, down, up, up, down.
Okay.
Just as long as it comes out to 8. That brings me to another a good point, because that's so much like a banjo kind of style. So it sounds kind of like a banjo roll. It's important to realize that like it's not like mandolin licks are just mandolin licks, or like banjo licks are just for the banjo. It's they're all interchangeable. I love to play Scruggs licks on mandolin. They're great. Nothing more bluegrass than that. That's all bluegrass. you know, it's all part of the same meal. Yeah. So,
Are we mainly focusing on bluegrass here, or can we ask about other things?
oh, man,
Yeah, I mean, this is the first weekend I got to hear your band, and I mean, you guys are exploring some very non-bluegrassy things.
absolutely, I'll definitely.
You know, and, kind of where's that coming from, if I may ask?
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, I grew up playing, went to a few like classical mandolin orchestras and did a lot of bluegrass taking, and the music world is kind of involved. I mean, bluegrass is obviously involved in the music world, and you get crossovers at certain shows where somebody's going to be hardcore traditional, and somebody's going to be like exploration, you know. I guess, I mean, I still play with tons of other bluegrass friends and bands, and you know, but this came out of just, I guess, just a free exploration of music. It's through mutual friends we met, and I knew Chuck, the bass player, from a previous band, and the guy that we were playing with before had the same set list, and he would just go over the same songs, same jokes. It was the kind of thing where me and Chuck would, over time, we're looking at each other going, like, we gotta do something. We gotta get out of here and do something. So it's funny because it's with the success that this band has had as far as just like the music we made and the you know, the people that like us and our friends, you know. It comes from looking at the band that we were with before, thinking about what that guy would do, and then we do the opposite. And it works really well. So, and then, you know, we came across Chelsea, and I had known Chelsea for a long time. Chuck had been playing with Chelsea separately, and and there was a show where we started playing together, and it was just kind of like, this is great. Chuck's got his like classical jazz side, I got the bluegrass thing, and Chelsea has this completely original, you know, songwriter thing. So it's simply just kind of like a meal. You know, we have the ingredients here, like, let's see what this makes. You know.
Kind of interesting to see your gal playing the accordion. It's kind of a different kind of a sound to your band.
Yeah, it's like blue. You know, all the sound together.
Cage.
Yeah.
Something like
Cajun-y, it's I mean it can be creepy and you know, vaudeville-y. That's what's so cool is that there's just so much liberty to toy with it and write. You can write pretty much any song as long as it has some sort of traditional background with it, you know. That's what's cool about those exploration bands. Although I will tell you that I'm creating traditional bluegrass. So as much as I love these guys, I love them, you know, I don't get to as often as I like. So, let's see. What's in here?
Trying to think how to phrase this. If you were going to play just kind of solo and maybe sing and play along, maybe not bluegrass, but just something. I think a good example of something. Something you were going to sing along with and play along with by yourself. Kind of how do you handle that? Do you just kind of break it down like you would if you were playing with a band, except you just try to fill in with the mandolin?
Exactly.
Okay. So maybe guitar style strumming, and then pick a little lead when in between.
Right. The most important thing in those bands to me is it's not the guitar, it's the bass and the snare. So as long as you have the boom chuck, you should be fine. You know, it's when I bus can play. Let's see. I definitely did a strum kind of thing, but in a songs and the stories of the songs. It's more about the singing. So it's just simply just backing yourself up. And I think it's better than just. It's like a wall of sound with no articulation. It's important, yeah. I slowly merged what I learned from scales and from lead with the what I thought was like set chords. What I thought was like a set thing where it was like, no, those are two completely separate things. There's the chop chords and there's the lead, but you can easily merge. And a lot of other styles, like especially jazz, have that stuff merged anyway. So it's, yeah. Chord melodies. So it's, it's, if you put it, that's chord melodies with emphasis on melody. You can do chord melodies with emphasis on chord, like I was, putting in little licks that the banjo would be taking over, playing the bass notes, and doing the top of the melodies usually. It starts to sound a little bit there. So, rest strokes, big thing, that's the main thing. Rest strokes and scales, if you want to do anything. And always limit yourself somehow. Always, well not better, if you want, but always push yourself somehow, make yourself uncomfortable. Put the heavier strings on that hurt your fingers, because you will get used to it. Use the heavier pick because your muscles will grow. Do everything that you can to try to work up to and pinky strength. Yeah, work up pinky strength too. With scale, that's another thing. If you close instead of play the open, that's just those fingers. If I close them and don't play any open strings, it's like, it's perfect for pinky. Blackberry Blossom's good for pinky too. Any of those things. So, yeah, scales, all forms of scales, open, close, major, minor, as many keys as you can handle, and slowly move up to the more and more complicated, like F sharp, C sharp. And try to see what your mandolin sounds like with new strings. Raise the action is another big thing. It's very easy to do. You guys both have the kind of bridges where you can look and twist these things. You have to kind of loosen the strings a bit and twist the dials there. You can watch the bridge rise up, the saddle rise up from the bridge a little bit. And I push it up to about a quarter.
Why would you want to raise the action? I thought you'd want it lower so you can move faster and easier.
Well, that's something that Chris Seeley does. And he gets away with, pentatonic scales at the speed of light.
It plays higher? Is it because you get more volume out of it?
Tone.
Oh.
Yeah. Chris is great and everything, but he's kind of on easy street as far as that goes. It's all about philosophy, and in that area, that kind of stuff is it's definitely harder to play like he's got that one. that's his whole thing. Like I don't. My philosophy is that you don't have to fill every little space with the notes. And like Miles Davis said, it's not the notes that you play, it's the notes you don't play that matter. It's the notes you don't play. So it's I mean, I like that philosophy better. And Chris has more of the John Coltrane philosophy. It's just it's just not my cup of tea.
So by raising the action, getting a little bit better tone out of the strings.
Yeah, and the drawback that it's harder to play, and that you may not have a clear sound all the time, but I like it. I would rather hear somebody struggle and fail, like struggle for an idea and be like than hear somebody nail something perfectly and have it be absolutely perfect and seamless and pretty, it just doesn't get me off like somebody going like, and they're like, damn, it's like, I love that so much better, and so do you. I think that's more what it's about. But
Questions about improvising, when you're learning to improvise. Is it better to like memorize a bunch of licks and try to work them in, or work with scales and try to hear something in your head?
I think it's honestly just about diving off the cliff, There was a point that I felt like I didn't know how I was going to the Mandolin Symposium, like the second one, and like halfway through, from the beginning to halfway through, I'm sitting there still thinking that I don't have to improvise, and I was just like, what can I do? And I was telling teachers, what can I do? How can I? And they're like, you can try playing this scale, and see, try different variations on this scale, and try to give me these kind of like academic things. And there came a point where people were playing Blackberry Waltz, and I just jumped into it, just like, screw it. Like I'm with people my age, and they're not gonna like make fun of me if I mess up, it's like, I'm just gonna do it. So I went for it, and it came out all right. And it's just, ever since then, I just tried more and more and more. As soon as I started improvising, especially as a kid, a lot of the younger ones when they jump into it, they dive off that cliff. Then they're falling for quite a while. And what I mean by that is like they'll play anything that sounds like it's remotely close to the chord, as opposed to remembering what the melody is. And the essence of improvisation is taking the melody and putting little flares on it here and there with your own, soul. So it's you want to make sure that you still hear the song. And there definitely was a point for a while where I was just randomness, stuff that just went with it was just pouring out of me, but it's one of those things. I had a few older friends go, hey, where's the melody? Oh yeah, pretty soon. So yeah, just dive, jump off the beat. Like with the beat, like playing in a key that you don't know, just try it, And like, who cares? Who cares if you don't? But if people are gonna sit there and be like, you suck.
That's what I'm afraid of.
No, that's not.
That's why I don't want to hear that.
That's what's so great about this the whole community is people encourage it, It's, if anything, they'll be like, nice try, That's the worst stuff you'll hear. Well, I mean, I guess there's some circles where people are brash, but it's all in good fun, it's all good. It's not mean-spirited. I've very rarely seen mean-spirited people.
And usually if you walk into a jam situation, there's usually always somebody that kind of can evaluate where you're at. And for me, I feel like I'm still in the beginning stage. They'll come over, I had them yesterday. A gentleman came over to me yesterday and just kind of encouraging, giving me tips, and it's just like, it's just really, good vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I wish the emphasis on speed was not there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to hear. It's fun when somebody has reached that level and it's good to achieve that level. But for folks that just want to go to a jam, I mean, it's kind of silly sometimes.
Oh, totally. It's if you look at the people that really know how to groove, there's such a different. It's control. What is it? Speed is a byproduct of control. I did for a while, and I had as a kid, that was, no speaking, and I definitely had some moments where some kids were like, or some older people were like, woo, like, damn, let's play a fast one now, people were definitely like, they'll tell you, they'll tell you what's up. And I got to a point where I started listening to, I went from like the kind of newish or like driving bluegrass bands to listening to the old stuff, which has the illusion of sounding fast. It's not fast. Most, like Monroe and Stanley, and they had a few like burners, sure, but and Latin Scrubs, they had the illusion of sounding fast. And then I started listening to old country, like, Buck Owens, and talk about the illusion of sounding steady and fast, and it's really just low-key as shit. And it's, nothing very dramatic. It's low-key, and you can actually hear the lyrics, and you can, I played with this band called the Get Down Boys in LA, and they're fun, they're cool guys. But when they first started, they went to Berkeley for 2 years, and then moved to LA to make it as a bluegrass band. Which just makes me laugh every time. I make fun of them.
Berkeley and Boston.
Yeah. So they
They do bluegrass in Boston.
they do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a lot, man. Joe Val's from Boston.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's,
I think Berkeley is commercial jazz.
it is, yeah. It totally is. There's a bluegrass community there, but it's still.
Sarah Ross just went there. Sarah Holt just came out, or Sarah Holt.
Really?
Yeah, you
Sierra?
Japanese students.
No,
Sierra Holt.
Sierra Taros. I don't know. I'm not
Sierra
sure.
Holt came out of Berkeley.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, I
So,
know that.
there's a bunch of people back there. It's kind of churning them out.
It's a different kind of school.
So they have a song that they play that's an old,
Are
I want to say.
they usually graduates?
Yeah.
That's a
So,
band.
They either go into, they either make money or they
When the end of the world goes round, I'll keep on loving you.
So you would go to war.
My ass road goes round and round, I'll keep on loving you. So like, they used to play it. In the road goes round, I'll keep on loving you. And all the colors come down, big blue sky goes down the ground. Long ass road goes round and round, I'll keep on loving you. People in the crowd like, oh my God. It's, until the end of the world goes round, I'll keep on loving you. And long as sun comes down, big blue sky goes down the ground. Long as the world goes round and round, I'll keep on loving you. It's all about that low-beat groove, You have to learn the groove before you, I don't know. It's good that these people can play fast, and sometimes it calls for it, It's Molly and Tim Brooks, that should be played pretty fast. There's some things that are like it's not horse race, should be fast. There's some places for it, but just like don't be, discouraged by people playing fast. They're just probably just showing up.
Summergrass has some really good workshops and jam sessions where the people are extremely helpful and don't try and show off about how good they are. It's all about the group.
Right. Which is, if you, my favorite jams where you have those moments where you're like, you transcend absolutely everything, and everybody is of like mind, and it's just working so well, and you have everything that you need. It's like, you don't have 4 banjos, you don't have 3 guitars, it's like you have a guitar, a banjo, a mandolin, a fiddle, a bass, and it's just perfect. Everybody knows all the songs, and we're all singing together great, and it's all just gelling completely very cool. Those people are all worried about the sound of the group. They're not worried about themselves and how they're doing. When the solo comes, sure, they'll express themselves, but that's it. Nobody's stepping on anybody's toes. It's all about the sound of the music, not about us as individuals. You transcend yourself. If everybody is transcending themselves, then it's all about the music, and that's when stuff sounds amazing. So it's funny that you're like, yeah, there's slow jams at Summergrass. There's places where you can go and they'll sit there and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, and people at the very top of their level, at the very top of their game, do the same exact thing. They think about the group, and they hear the sound of the group as one whole thing, and they're not thinking about like each individual person. And, does he like when I play? Does this sound good to you? It's just like, you just play, and you forget about yourself. Give yourself the door.
Can you talk a little bit about double stops? Because I don't know how to do them, but they sound great. So how do you start?
Sure. That chop is comprised of double stops.
Okay.
Yeah. Double stops is pretty much any two notes in harmony, usually, or they are, I guess, in successive strings. So it's not like a double stop is, you know, it's like it's gonna be like right next to each other. My buddy Zach plays with complete ear. I mean, he's 100% ear. The only thing he's had is had somebody sit down and show him, no, put your fingers here. He doesn't exactly know all the theory about it, you know. And I've done a lot of this. I've learned a lot of this because of the theory. Like I understand how these notes relate to each other and how they together relate to the chord. And so when I'm sitting there playing in G, I can understand that G and B can be split up with A and C, which is like a 5-chord, which asks for resolve to be resolved back to the G. You know, I'm thinking about those kind of things. But it's essentially a double stop is just any two. And you take that tremolo thing, which, by the way, with the rest stroke, and pulling back up to the string to make it even, that applies at that kind of speed, at the tremolo speed. So you want to have a rest stroke at the tremolo speed. I'm hitting that next string. So it's trying to find a sweet spot between and play them like they're, just two strings and not four. Or like one pitch. Covered a lot of ground. Really good. Chopping, left hand, right hand technique, scales, cross picking, double stops, action, strings.
This is the best manual workshop I've been to, and I've been to quite a few of them. I
Oh, good.
really appreciate what you've done today.
Yay. Good.
It's gonna be a big, you really told me, get to work, dude.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. It's, and as I'm not saying like, get to work like you're gonna like sell a bunch of CDs and that's what you're trying to do, I understand that you're probably just trying to have fun and to pick around and it's and that still takes the same kind of work, either way. It's I did this as a living kind of as a byproduct of what's driving you. I just want to play and I mean the reason I make money and the reason I do everything I do is so that I can get to know the festival. That's all I want to do. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're actually that is helping.
Show duo style.
Duo
Just as
style?
a curiosity.
So it's just fun and interesting, and it's our teacher. Basically, sort of perfected in a way. So you basically take think about the tremolo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you slow down, it's all adding up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You replace 1. it is cool. It's interesting. It's something that Evan had taught me, and I'm sure has got you going through. It's interesting. It does, yeah. I'm not sure what else I can really, what else I can really say. I feel like I covered pretty much everything. You know, listen to banjo players and mandolin players and fiddle players. Anything that really catches your ear, you know, and any style that you really like, just try to mimic it on the mandolin. That's a good way to learn licks and to learn improvisation. And I mean, banjo is all licks. Banjo is 100% licks. I'm learning it right now, and it's completely just comprised of a bunch of licks. It's not really like with the mandolin. I guess everything is kind of sort of licks, but with the mandolin you can really pull out a melody, you know, and the banjo just kind of dances around melodies and gives you the illusion of melody, but it's really just a bunch of licks put together, you know. So it is good to listen to other people do what they have to offer. Whatever you like. Any other questions? Thoughts? Look at this. Let's get down to this. Mandolin's out. Mandolin's out and ready. We're gonna do the downstrokes, the rest strokes, and just open string back. Open, ready? 1, 2, 3, G string. Alright, cool. Now, do we know our scales at all? You seem to have it. Okay, you got that. And we'll just add out the G. So no. Put your finger back up. There's a pattern there with your fingers will look like this on the string, these two strings. If you notice that, the one, dun, 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 dun. And then when it goes to the A and E strings, dun, 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 dun. Your third finger pulls into the first finger. And you got that. We can do the first octave. We can do the first octave now. The only difference is that your middle finger here will be pulled on the A and E strings, will be pulled back to this way. There you go. So, we'll start at the beginning here. Pull that. There you go. There you go. There you go. And then open. Yeah. And then you gotta make sure that you hit the open streak in the background. So, scale torture. seems like the best state, like when they're delirious. It's just like let their subconscious soak in the pain of the scales working. Right? So 1, 2, let's try this in G.